Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that the right book at the right time can change lives, and that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So, that's what we do here on the KidLit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature: picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels for readers of all ages. In each episode, we'll talk with children's literature authors and discuss their books, their hopes, their dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. Whether you're an adult reading to their inner child or connecting the young readers in your life with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. So grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of KidLit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the KidLit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, your KidLit loving host, inviting you back to another bookish conversation with a children's literature author. Today, I'm talking with Jamie Sumner. Jamie is the author of many acclaimed novels, including Deep Water, Please Pay Attention, Roll With It, and Tune It Out. She loves stories that celebrate the grit and beauty in all kids, and she's here today to talk about one of her newest middle grade novels titled Schooled. It's an uplifting novel about new schools, unexpected friendships, and overcoming loss. And listeners, I could not put this one down. I read it in a single sitting, and I'm still not quite sure which words I want to use to capture it, but huggable comes to mind. I can't wait to talk to Jamie about it, so let's get right to the episode. Jamie, welcome to KidLit Love. I'm so excited to talk to you today about this book.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited too. I was telling you before we started recording that this is the first chance I really get to talk about Schooled. So it feels very special to get to talk about it with you today.
Oh, I'm so glad. And I wish I had a more articulate review other than to say, I loved it so much, I don't know how to describe it yet. Huggable was
I'll
one.
take it.
Yeah, Huggable was one that came to mind. I have a special list in my notebook, listeners know, for the Huggable books, and Schooled is on it. There's just something about the combination of family and friendship and all the feelings and the possibilities that just jump out of the page, whether that's possibilities for school, for reimagining relationships, for friendships, for unexpected friendships and ideas. Oh, there's just so much that I cannot wait to talk about. But first, before we go there, I would love for you to give us a little bit of background on you, a little bit of your backstory of how you came to Kidlit and wandered your way through it with some of those books that I mentioned to talking about one of your newest today.
Well, I could do that. So I actually was a high school English teacher before I was ever an author. So a lot of the if any of your listeners read school, they'll see there's a lot of school discussion, like what school looks like and what makes middle school in particular like work for kids and what doesn't. And so I brought a lot of my own teaching background into that. So I was a teacher first before I started writing. And really, it was becoming a mom that made me start really writing professionally and not just for me. I mean, I've written my whole life, but there's something about having kids that turns your perspective both more inward and more outward towards the world and what's going on. And I felt like I had a lot I wanted to say about how I hope the world treats my own kids and other kids. And so that's what kind of got me started. I live in Nashville and I'm a mom to three kiddos. And my first book role with it was really inspired by my son Charlie, who has cerebral palsy. And when he started school, we did a little tour of his library at school. You know how you do, you go through the kindergarten and you like, for us, we rolled down the halls. I pushed him around in his wheelchair and we went in the library and there just weren't any books for kids like him, like that reflected him at all. Like we looked at all of the covers, none of them looked like him. all the stories, and none of them had a kid like him, or if it was a kid with a disability in the book, it was just a side character, or they were just a prop. And I came home and I just couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go, and that's what you
And
do.
rightfully
And
so.
so
Right.
yeah, and so that's what essentially got the ball rolling with me writing. Um, and here we are with school, so many books down the line.
Right.
Um, that it's I'm so grateful that I still get to do this, and now my kids are old. That was when Charlie was going into kindergarten, and now he's in middle school, and I still get to do this thing that I love. And I'm like so cool to all my kids' friends because they're like reading my stuff, and they're like, "That's your mom," and like I'm never going to be cool again. So this is my prime golden season. And
Yes.
I have to enjoy it.
Yes, I was just going to ask, do your kids understand the connection and the spark for how your career has gone? And we also talked about our kiddos before we got on the call, and there is a window where you are cool and then you're not. So you have to soak up the coolness whenever you can get it.
You just store it up like you're canning jam, and you're gonna store it up, and you're gonna save it for later.
That's right. That's right. So you said all those books later, and then we get to Schooled, which is this amazing, beautiful middle grade novel. I already dropped a little bit of what it was about. There's family, there's friendship, there's lots and lots of feelings, there's all of the things. I would love for you to talk about the book in your own words and give listeners a bit of what the book is about without the spoilers for the amazing endings. But not only that, what inspired you to write Schooled?
So, to give a little bit of background of what the story is without giving it all away, Schooled is, first of all, I know that this is a podcast and you can't see it, but the cover is one of my favorite covers I've ever had because it's Lenny, who's the main character, and all his friends sitting on a brick wall, and behind them is what to me is very obviously like a college campus building,
Yeah.
and they're all on the wall, and it's very like yellowy orangey autumn colors, and I love it so much. And it's because Lenny and his dad essentially move from up the east coast down to a university in Tennessee, because that's where I'm from, in Tennessee, and to start over because his mom has passed away. They are grieving. His dad is a college professor, so he moves them onto a college campus. He starts a new job, and Lenny, much to his disgruntlement, gets put in what is essentially an experimental middle school on this college campus with other professors' kids. And so he's basically running around lawless
Yes.
as a 11/12-year-old on a college campus. And, as boys will, as anyone will, like hijinks ensue, but he's also grieving. So
Mm.
he's in the middle of the most probably intense time of his life. And you get a spotlight on what that looks like for him versus his dad, how kids grieve versus how adults grieve. It's very different.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted to explore that, how we find kind of ways to work through loss. Um, and I think to answer your question about what inspired me, I think it was a couple of things. We were working through a loss in our own family with someone close to us, and I was really feeling that, and working through my own way to process grief. Um, and it does, they talk about the stages of grief, but what they really don't talk about is that you don't know the timing of each stage, and they don't always go in the order that you think they're going to go in. And so I was kind of working through that. And also, um, I was really in this. So I taught for a very long time. I taught high school English. I got to do a ton of fun classes, seminars, which little snippets of you see in the book, because I got to actually write some. Lenny sneaks into and audits some lectures, so I got to write some classes, which was really fun. But I was in this transitional phase when I wrote the book, where I had gone from teaching full time to tutoring. to then teaching in a tutorial way across on the east side of town with a bunch of eclectic different kinds of kids. So I basically taught in every environment you can teach in. And so I was really exploring all the different ways that education looks. And I wanted to put that into the book too, because kids need different stuff and respond to different things. So it was just so much fun and also so cathartic for me to write the story.
Yeah. That was a piece that really jumped out at me as a fellow educator. I used to teach little people, and now I teach teachers who want to become reading teachers. So I just fell in love with the whole academic setting and this whole reimagination of what middle school could be, right? Maybe in real life, maybe not. But the idea of that middle school could be this place of exploration, of figuring out who you are and what you want to be, and actually moving through it with this sense of purpose and curiosity, like head out to a class and see what you like and what could your project be and what could a practicum be, and really ending a year with this true sense of accomplishment that wasn't just outward facing, but was very inward facing as well. I just kept reading it thinking, Where was this school when I was in my dreaded middle school years? And of course, the kids don't appreciate perhaps what they might have, but just this idea that school could be a place more than just the rote learning of the facts and getting the things done and focusing on the grades, that it was more about the whole child and the permission for them to explore all of that. I just wished I could have jumped into the pages. And I definitely would have been at the fairy tale lectures, hands down.
Those I'm not even kidding. My most I taught a fairy tale and fantasy seminar, and they were so fun to actually then recreate and put on the page that I finished this and I'm like, exactly like you. I wish I had this. I wish I
Mhm.
had this when I was in middle school. I wish that it was about exploring what I needed from school in a way that wasn't just sitting at a desk all day and just following the patterns of what all everyone else was doing and more what did I need in the moment. Now there are downsides to that, which you see in the book, a little bit of
Yes.
chaos, a little bit of malfunction.
Yes.
The adults need a little more supervision, they realize. Um, but but it was still really fun to
Yeah.
create.
Yeah. I think reading it as an adult as well, as an adult educator, I did kept thinking to myself, I can't go back in in my middle school days and relive it in this way. I can't just overhaul the school system that we currently have. However, there are always ways and places and spaces to infuse more of that kind of learning into our classes, whether it's exploring a question that they have or just pursuing a passion or a hobby. And for me as an adult, I was reminded that I could go take a fairy tale course. I could go online and find a day-long thing on welding if I wanted to. Also, it was just such a good reminder that there are opportunities there that even if they're not in front of us, we could think outside of the box. And that to me was just so inspiring. It was so uplifting, especially to this adult reader that realized she wants more of that in her life.
I'll tell you what, I it's so funny you brought that up because I just yesterday was looking at the offerings at our local rec center of all the I mean, you can do anything from quilting to watercolor to Tai Chi. And I'm like, this is 2 seconds from my house. But
Yep.
it's the same. Okay, so it's the same mentality you have when you're middle school. You think, well, I guess this is just how it is, and I have to get through as an adult, you do that too. Well, I guess this is the season of my life, and these are just the things I do. And it's this idea that if you could just say, well, are these the things that I do? Can there not be something else in there? What is wrong with taking a tiny pottery figurines class that I'm terrible at? So what if I'm terrible at it? It's something new. And I think there's something to be said for not to kind of embrace that idea that failure isn't necessarily a bad thing or
Hmm.
perfection isn't necessarily the goal. You know what I mean? And I think the kids in this book learn that. I think the adults learn that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for classrooms to have that discussion a little bit.
Mhm. It also reminds us It reminds us, and also the school kind of started with something that is very near and dear to my heart that I could not believe I was seeing on the page. And I thought, what a powerful thing for kids to know about this. Because, Jamie, I am an upholder. And I was beyond excited to see hints of Gretchen Rubin's Four Tendencies framework on the page. I was so excited. I am so glad you included that. It's such a powerful way to get to know yourself and to think about how you might operate in the world. But I haven't heard it mentioned on kid a kid front. So tell me about, first of all, I want to know what you are. And then tell me about your choice to include that in the book, which I just thought was brilliant.
Okay, so first of all, I'm so glad because I don't think I actually say that
No.
it's Gretchen. I think I put it in the acknowledgments. But basically the kids in the class kind of take this quiz and it it tells them what kind of not just learner they are but human they are, like,
Mhm.
and in particular, but when it comes to learning, how they approach when they're given tasks, especially because all these kids in this book are about to be assigned this huge practicum, which
Yeah.
is this self-created project that is going to last all year. So it is important to know what kind of, like, are you a self-motivator? Do you procrastinate? Do you want to know the why behind everything? And so this idea of exploring kind of what kind of personality you have before you approach a task you're given is so important. And I love Gretchen Rubin.
Me too, and so many
She's
listeners do too. I know it.
she's incredible because she really does change the way you see the world. And of course I had to put it in there. And these are professors on college campuses. Like, their parents are professors. They're going to know it. They're going to know who she is. So it makes sense. And so it was delicious to get to put it in there. Um I think I'm a little bit of a combination. This is a weird combination because it sounds like it should never, but upholder and rebel.
Oh, yeah, no, I can see how that could
Do you
happen.
see that?
Yeah, I can see how that connection could be made. Yes.
Because, like, I like to meet expectations. And in particular for me, it's expectations I set for myself,
Hmm.
almost more so than expectations that other people have for me. But then also I like to kick that to the curb when it feels really necessary. And
Yes,
I have no problem doing so, especially when it aligns with my values to kick it to the curb. So, for anyone listening, I think she does have a quiz online.
she does.
Take the quiz. She has all these quizzes. Like, you will fall down a rabbit hole.
Yes.
Um, and find out what type you are because it is so fun. And it really does change, like, it makes your world make sense in a
Yes.
way that you've never really experienced before. I also, whenever I visit schools or I, like, teach small creative writing classes, I can't obviously teach full time now, but I have my students put their characters through the quiz. So not just
Oh,
you, put your characters, which
love it.
again, I mean, I guess I did when I wrote this book. I put my characters through the quiz. Do that, and then you have a reason behind the decisions they make throughout the rest of the story.
Mhm.
It's such a great activity. Oh, it's such a great activity.
I love that. I agree with you. That framework has been just life changing for me when I figured it out. As I mentioned, I'm an upholder, and that's it. I don't have friends. I'm not a rebel. I'm, unfortunately, I would think, to a fault, an upholder. But what I love about the framework and what I love about the kids figuring out in the book is that if you know yourself better, you can plan around the things that you're really good at, but that your weaknesses aren't necessarily weaknesses. They're just things about you because you operate in a certain way that you can still harness to your advantage. And that's what I loved. And I thought, if 10-year-old, 11-year-old, very anxious, very perfectionistic Stephanie knew
Same.
that, then I could have saved myself a lot of stress and a lot of grief by looking at things a little bit differently. So I was just so excited to see this in a book for kids. And even if the adults reading it with the child don't know about the tendency quiz, then that's their opportunity to dive down that rabbit hole as well.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's also for those of you who are in a long-term relationship, it's fun to make your partner do it because my husband is so much, he's literally 100% the questioner. He has to know why
Yeah.
something needs to be done before he's going to do it. He's not just going to do it because it's there to be done. He has to know why, and it has to make sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
I made my kids do it. I make
Yeah,
everybody do it. I'm just so glad it was there.
that's so funny.
Now, thinking about those kids and all the different personalities, they all have a very different reason for being at this very innovative school. They have different family structures that we slowly start to get to unpeel throughout the book. And there's a lot going on in the interactions between them as they learn how to navigate their own self, but then also help each other with it. I'd love for you to talk about those connections that they formed and the ways that they learned about each other that helped them learn about themselves. There were just so many beautiful ways that this group of I don't want to say misfits, right? But a group of completely different kids for completely different reasons end up at the school that end up coming together in an interesting way, that I won't say at the end, but they end up being a team. They really do. And I'd love for you to talk about that element of the novel.
I think you could call them misfits in a way. I think only because they are not in traditional school, all for different reasons. So it's not just because their parents are professors. You meet Mac, whose dad is the he was one of my most he I had so much fun writing his dad because he's a philosophy teacher and he's just the funniest, I think, of the parents to write because he's so goofy. But Mac, is not at a traditional school because quote unquote anger issues, which you come to see Mac and you could not meet a kinder, more lovable kid.
Yeah.
And you realize his anger issues come from more protective issues than anger. So actually, it's the opposite when you see kind of he stands up for the underdog, and that's the kind of person he is. And, David's parents are divorced and he has two families and he lives with his dad and he's angry about that. Speaking of anger issues,
Mhm.
he has to work through a lot of that because no one's going to work through it with him. But when you see him, he's a prickly character. Like he and Mac could not be more opposite. He's very prickly. Mac's a big teddy bear. David is definitely not.
Mhm.
And then
Oh, I
Henrietta.
love Ren.
So, the first time you meet Henrietta, who becomes Lenny's best friend, that is not a spoiler. She is literally doing a sage cleaning of his door to the apartment that he and his dad are going to live with. Like, this is the first moment he sees of her. She's like waving burning sage over his doorway. She is the literal heartbeat, I think, for Lenny, who feels a little lost and feels a little like he doesn't know how to feel. Henrietta is such a feeler and she's such a like own your feelings kind of girl that she brings that out in Lenny and she's just so the best and she could not be more opposite than the last of the crew, which is Allie, who is into fashion and into, not you don't actually say Instagram and TikTok and everything on there. It's not actually,
Right.
but that's what she wants.
She
She
loves
wants to be
her
an
phone.
influencer. She loves it. She loves her phone more than life itself. And so the fact that Allie and Hen get thrown together in certain situations, it is like a microcosm of it's if you could write the Breakfast Club now,
Yeah.
that's who these kids are. It's
Yes.
the Breakfast Club for middle school is essentially what it is. And the first scene where they're basically in the basement of the philosophy building, like drawing on the walls with crayons, is the first scene in Breakfast Club when they show up for Saturday school. Like
Yeah.
that's all you need to know. It's the
Yes.
same. And you see them come together and share their stories and what actually will end up making them the perfect class to unite together.
Yes. That it really is a perfect. description that I had not thought of, and is sure to get people's interest even more. At least older readers right now are going to understand that. Now, this I want to make sure that I shared this with you because it was so important to me, but I'm going to be cagey about how I say it because I don't want to put some spoilers in. So listeners, the caginess is purposeful so that I won't give anything away. But there's something related to the project, especially Lenny's project that ends up coming up in the book. And there's a question that is asked. It starts in the lecture, I believe. It ends up with Lenny. And I just want to say the question because since I read your book and when I finally stopped hugging it and I put it down, I got out my journal. I got out my notebook and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I have kept writing. I'm a big journaler. I love morning pages. My notebook is my therapy. Always has, always will be. And there is a question in there that asks, what is making your heart heavy? Right? Which just goes along the lines of the emotional threads that are through this book. And that prompt just really helped me as an adult writer put on the page things that were better on the page than stuck inside me. And I just can't thank you enough for that prompt because it sent me to my notebook. It sent me to places inside. It just made me feel better when I was done, which I can't say anything more about the connection to the book, but I just wanted to thank you for what that line did for me on my own page. It was just so emotional and also lightening. I don't know if that's a word. And the way that I
Yeah.
say it, but I think you know what I mean. Um, and that was just so important to me, and it's threaded throughout the book. And I have a feeling that for many people reading this who do have something on their heart, this is a permission slip to get it out and to talk and to put it on the page. And books that do that are just so precious to me. Like I could tear up from what happened after reading your book. And so I just wanted you to know that. And I really can't wait for readers to experience that as well.
Thank you for saying that. I think, I mentioned way back when we first started talking why I started writing, and particularly that having kids kind of turns your focus outward to the world. And I hope that this book is coming out at the right time to inspire kids to share what's on their heart
Mhm.
in a safe place. Um, because the world is heavy right now. It's heavy. And we're all carrying different things. And I think for me, my tendency is to power through.
Yes.
Like I kind of react to what's making my heart heavy, which like amps me up into higher gears of production, but I don't turn and face the things that are making my heart heavy to where, like you said, you then feel lighter.
Yes.
And I think we all need to feel a little bit lighter.
Mhm.
And I do hope that this book helps kids feel that way, safe and heard and understood in a way that maybe they hadn't before. They could share whatever they need to share that they may not even realize is in there until they take a second, you know?
Yes. And the ones that do have something in there, I think we'll see it as an invitation and a permission slip.
Absolutely.
Um,
I
right
hope
there.
so.
Yeah. And and even though that is a very I feel like I just laid the emotion on like, oh my gosh, the emotion in this book. It is there, but it is also fun and funny. And they have unlimited swipe cards to get candy at the campus stores. Like there is a very uplifting and fun story that kids will, I imagine, want to go into because of the freedom and because of the things that happen, while also getting this balanced, more emotional, all the feels kinds of things. So I wanted to make sure I said that. It is just entertaining beyond belief as well.
I remember, I mean, I was 18 and I remember how excited I was to get my card for the Munchie Mart and like go. And they had all the bins of all the different candies and trail mixes, and you just fill up the giant bags and you don't even care what the total is because it goes on your swipe
That's
card.
right. That's right.
It's just like monopoly money at that point,
Yeah.
which shows you where I was at 18 years old in my brain before I actually had to get out and, pay rent.
Yes. We're
Yeah.
all there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I loved the book. I adored the book. I'm so grateful that you came on to talk about it, that I get to be part of your launch, to put it out there
I'm so
in the
happy.
world.
I'm so happy I got to talk about it with you today.
Me too. Where is the best place that listeners can find you online so that they can keep track of you and any other books that might be coming their way from you?
I would say so my website is jamie-sumner.com. You can email me there or contact me there. I'm mostly on Instagram because TikTok makes me think I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's too fast.
I don't
Too
even
fast. I was
try.
like, I can't either. My kids, my 11-year-old twins are like they're not on TikTok, but they get videos of TikTok through YouTube, and I'm like,
Yes.
this is too many. But I'm on Instagram, Jamie Sumner underscore author. And yeah, you could find me there and message me there and see what's coming. I'm better at updating Instagram than I am my own website. So that's probably the best place.
Okay. Well, I will make sure to put links to your website, to your Instagram, and of course, links to Schooled and the other books that I have name dropped in the episode as well. This was wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to share in your launch, as I mentioned, and listeners, you have to get it. You have to read it. It's like it's
It's
the
a
perfect way
perfect way
to
to
end.
start fall too. Like it'll
Yes.
get you in the mood to go back.
Yes. Yes. And a new way with a new mindset. And that makes all the difference in the world when starting a new year. Thank you.
Yep.
This is wonderful.
You're
Thank you so
so
much.
welcome.
And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of KidLit Love, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the KidLit Love podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. You'll also find KidLit Love on Substack. That's where you'll find posts for each episode, monthly KidLit roundups, and an invitation to join my summer book club and go deeper into the world of children's literature. And if you loved this podcast and want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing to build a life you love. One more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of Kid Lit Love. Thanks for listening.